Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me up here to Laredo College and the Governor's Office and the Small Business Administration for inviting me, asking me to be a panel on this great topic. My name is Meatus. I'm a business and management instructor at Laredo College. I have been for a few years now, and I'm really excited. I do teach marketing, and so this is a really exciting topic for me. How many of you here in the audience are on some type of social media platform? Almost everyone. If you're not, I highly encourage you to get on something, right? So the big platforms are Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. I personally am on 3 of the 4, right? Because I love the social media presence and the whole aspect of that. And it's really interesting how businesses, small businesses, and large corporations use social media to be able to connect with their customers. And that's what a lot of our panel is going to be talking about. So I do have questions from all 3 panel members today, and I will be asking the questions. But however, I want to start off with you all giving us a short introduction. Well, you know, your credibility, right? Let us know why you're here, what you do, and how much you love social media. We'll start here with Mr. Matt.
My name is Matt Gibson. I'm the owner of Gibson Design. I've been in business since 2005. I was in the restaurant business for about 17 years prior. I just found I was working too many hours, wasn't enjoying it, and I had a background in graphic design and decided I wanted to change and do something different. I started out as a print company, and as things changed, as digital world became important, I got into web design development. Been very successful with that, and now I'm a full service ad agency, but we do specialize in social media and digital marketing.
Excellent, thank you. Next, Cash.
Morning. My name is David Cash Vasquez. I'm the owner of Grow Laredo. I spent about 10 years in radio. Was very fortunate to be in radio at a time where traditional media was kind of going through a change. Listenership was down, and so this crazy thing called social media, MySpace and YouTube. Anybody have a MySpace account here? When, you know, social media was really kind of starting to take shape, and as a media company, we wanted to grab a hold of that and really make sure that we stayed relevant throughout those years. So I was fortunate to spend a lot of my time in radio doing that. Fell into the car business and took a lot of what I learned from being in a media company and applied it to the car business. And the beautiful thing was that when I fell into the car business was also going through a transitional period where this thing called buying cars online was this new phenomenon, and was able to create something called a BDC, a Business Development Center, where we began to sell cars online and started to service our customers. Instead of anybody buy a car lately? Did the process take really, really long? Well, typically an 8-hour process was now minimized to a 2-hour process through this BDC, this Business Development Center. But just like Matt was working too many hours and started to see that somebody else was making all the money and I wasn't making all of that much. So I said, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. Took all of my experience from customer service, selling online, electronic commerce, and created Grow Laredo. And now I help businesses get online, help them sell products online, services online, and we do it all through social media, websites, applications, automation, artificial intelligence. And I'm very, very humbled and glad to be here to speak with every one of you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Cesar Hernandez. I am the program director for Mile One, International Business Assistance Center. I come from 17 years of higher education. I worked in curriculum development, career services, career development, employer relations, marketing, customer service, which is very important to, I know, all of us here. And so throughout the years, I've worked in different aspects in helping just brand the college or brand a different program that I'm working with. Between those 17 years, I became a small business owner back when social media was just getting started. So it was kind of a, learn by, kind of an OJT type of thing, on the job training. You learned as you went along. And the social media that we have nowadays was coming along to where it was back then, compared to where it was back then. And so you had your ups and your downs. Your systems weren't as strong as they are now. And so you weren't able to do as much as you can with social media as you can today. And so when I took Mile One over a few months ago, it was a challenge for me because it gave me an opportunity to start working with entrepreneurs, small businesses, and really getting that spirit going that the incubator program and Mile One has to offer. And so it was very exciting for me to take over. And in essence, my marketing director is on vacation right now, and so that's why I'm kind of sitting here in front of with these gentlemen that have this wealth of experience. But I think that social media is extremely important in order for you to market your business. It gives you an opportunity to put your word out there that otherwise you might not be able to in other aspects. So thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you all very much. So I fielded a group of questions from all three of them, and I am going to go one by one asking you all your questions. I tried to order them in a way where they kind of one question transitioned into another question, because I thought it would make the flow nice and all that. As we do ask the questions, though, if anyone else on the panel would like to interject after the speaker, that would be great to kind of get second opinions or other opinions on the questions. The first one, however, is for Mr. Matt Gibson. And I chose your second question to come first. What are the most important social media channels for business? I thought it was a good starting point to kind of go over the different social media channels and which ones you think are most important.
Sure. In Laredo, Facebook is something that just about everybody's business needs to be on. Just in the U.S. side of Laredo, there's 240,000 users of Facebook within 50 miles of Laredo. If you go into the Nuevo Laredo side, there's 380,000 Facebook users within 50 miles of Nuevo Laredo. So that's a huge, huge target. No matter what your demographic is, you want to start there. Beyond that, the fastest growing one is Instagram. Instagram is really important because Instagram is a very visual, very quick, get it now, see what I want to see and move on type of thing. Instagram is great for just about any business that has a visual aspect. Restaurants are really important because you can show the food, and as we all know, picture's worth 1,000 words. Fashion is a big deal on Instagram as well. So really those are the two that I would start with, depending on what your business and demographic are as well. You gotta take that into account. LinkedIn is also very important, but LinkedIn is more for professionals. LinkedIn is really important for accountants, attorneys, investment bankers, things like that, because the people that are on Instagram are not necessarily the same people that are on LinkedIn. So you want to take that as something important as well. I would say that if your target is a younger demographic, typically the under 25, under 30 crowd, Instagram is huge. My daughter, who's 15 now, she doesn't have a Facebook account. She has no desire to have a Facebook account. And she told me, Dad, Facebook is for old people. So, so that seems to be the growing attitude on Facebook. So it just depends on what your market is. But like I said, I would probably start with Facebook and then go from there.
Yeah, excellent. To the panel, to expand on that, you just mentioned how Facebook was for old people, right? How would you all categorize? I mean, do you think that millennials and younger generations, Generation Y and Generation X, are they using different social media platforms?
Well, I do want to add kind of onto what Matt said, and what's really, really important. How many people in here are business owners? A good amount of you. Do not mistake social media for your storefront. You need to have a website. You need to have your website connected to your social media. You're socializing with your customers. You need to make sure that your website complements your business online. What you're doing at your brick and mortar store needs to be on your website as well, okay? Do not discount a website. It is extremely important. Why? Because your reputation online is just as big as important as it is offline. So please, I implore each and every one of you, if you do not have a website, to begin there. You can also begin on social media. So creating a social media account is equally important because you do need to engage with your customers. You know, we were just talking about this, and one of the things that is of extreme importance is instant gratification with this new generation. This new generation of shopper wants everything now. How many in this room feel like you don't have enough time? There's only 24 hours in the day, boys and girls. We need to maximize our time. And so that customer, think about when they're shopping, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's a message if you're a nonprofit, they need answers right now. Sometimes email isn't the quickest way anymore. You're taking too long. Getting back to me 6 hours later after I send you an email is not, I don't have time. And that is one of the biggest focuses I think you should have for your customer, is remember that your customer doesn't have time anymore. Hence the reason we have curbside service. I don't have time to go to the grocery store anymore. I'd rather just order it on my phone, go by, pay for it, pick it up. And it doesn't matter if I have to pay extra. I'll pay extra to save me 2 more hours. So I think that's one of the challenges that businesses are not addressing, is the fact that they don't have a storefront and a conversation with their customers online. It needs to happen, and you need to make it a part of your business plan. If you're a future entrepreneur, you're trying to start your own business, you need to make online a part of that business plan.
Great. Mr. Hernandez, anything to add?
Yes, so there we go. So, just to kind of add on to what Matt and Cash were saying, it's extremely important to set a presence online when you're starting your business. It's important because the customer will be looking at those things. The website, it'll direct them towards your social media or vice versa platform. So it's very important to set a presence that will help the customer understand your product or what you're selling, to have that human touch behind that social media presence helps the customer understand that there is somebody there that does care for what their needs are and what they're looking for. And so when you set your social media platforms, you want to keep that in mind to make sure that the customer understands you are able to provide a service that they're looking for, and a positive one at that.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point in that. I think a lot of people might think that if a company is only online or via social media, that there's no interaction. And that's not necessarily the case. There can be a lot of rich interaction through social media and websites, as long as it's used correctly. You know, you use group chats and you respond to posts and things like that, you're definitely going to give the customer what they need. My second question, and hopefully we're transitioning well, is actually for Mr. Hernandez. Your question was, how do you as a nonprofit, and I would also add as profit, nonprofit or profit, handle your marketing with a minimal budget? I think that's really important because a lot of small businesses that are starting up, you don't have a lot of capital, right? So how can you use something like a social media platform or website with a minimal budget to kind of maximize your potential, your growth?
You know, it's interesting to say, because when you're starting up a business and you're looking at your different levels of expenses and your startups and so forth, marketing is always going to be something that you are going to shave. You're not going to spend so much money on because you think, well, I have other expenses that are more important in order for me to start my business or to promote my business. And so the marketing side of it, it's always said, well, yeah, I'll save my money for something else. So it's, as you use your social media platforms, the majority of them are free. You can spend some money into it and kind of broaden your message, but you start off with a small budget. And being a nonprofit, we have to be very creative when it comes to social media marketing and marketing in general. And so what we try to do is we try to put out a message. and try to have people buy into that message. And being the hub for entrepreneurship, for innovation, for collaboration, we try to run Mile One, at least me as a program director, as a small business. I try to keep my expenses low. I try to keep my costs low so that I can provide as much as I can for my members, because we are a member-driven organization, right? We're a member-driven facility, but at the same time, we also have to incorporate the community. So we do a lot of workshops and presentations where we allow the community to come in, and we market that on Facebook. We market that on Instagram. While it's going on, we're marketing it to our clients and our potential clients out in general. So it's important to utilize these platforms that are free of charge, that'll help you build your business. Of course, you want to have a team. Now, when you start a business, it might be just you and a partner. It might be you by yourself, maybe your spouse, maybe a family member. You're not going to have a huge, 10-member team or 10 employees. So you have to spread that social media around to make sure that everybody creates that content. Everybody's able to add to the content and keep an eye on those things, because as we're talking about, people want an immediate response. You put out a question out there, you put out some information. For example, we do member Mondays, new members. We highlight a new member every month, every Monday. So it helps us put out the information of the human touch, if you will, where the person, we describe our new member, that person might know somebody, and now somebody's following Mile One based on that new member. So we've got a new person looking at our Facebook page, looking at our Instagram, keeping a track on what we're doing during our workshops and presentations. So it's very important to utilize your platforms, especially if they're free of charge. Utilize those platforms and take advantage of them to market your business.
And our other panelists, do you all know of any other kind of affordable outlets where people can go to get some social media help? Is it something that you recommend people paying for, or can they do it on their own?
I think paid social media is critical. The good thing about social media advertising is it's very affordable compared to traditional advertising, and you learn so much about what you're getting back and what your customers are doing, because they interact with your content on social media. So I'd say paying for ads on social media is important. It's not the end-all be-all. You can do a lot with just free social media. It's just a matter of networking and getting the word out there. One thing I will point out is I've got a lot of clients that have businesses like doctor's offices, banks, car washes, businesses that aren't exciting to talk about on social media. And if you're one of those businesses, you need to get really creative. Humor goes a long way on posts. So for example, if you're a doctor's office making posts about medical humor, things like that, people will find it funny and share it. Yes, it's not your message, but more importantly, it gets people to share your brand and gets word out there. So that's something I find very, very important and very affordable.
Yeah, I saw an Instagram post just yesterday on Halloween. It was for a law office, and it was two ghosts in prison, and one was asking the other ghost, "What are you here for?" And he's like, "Possession." And it was for a law office, right? Like if you're in prison, if you're arrested for possession, call this number. And I was like, that's really funny, because normally we wouldn't think of needing a lawyer as something that was humorous, but that's a good example of that. And they just put up a cartoon and they wrote some wording on it and they posted it up. I know on Facebook you can actually, for a very minimal fee, boost your Facebook posts to get them out to not only the people who follow your Facebook account, but 20,000 other people, and it's, I don't know, it's like a couple $100 or something like that, so really affordable. Okay, our third question is for David, and social media has become a method of communication for some, if not most, customers, whether it be for exchanges, returns, or complaints. How else can small businesses handle their storefront and their electronic stores at the same time? And that's something that you and I spoke about privately before we came up here, is that using social media not just to advertise, right, but to actually do business. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a little bit ago with the website. If you have a website, there are affordable ways for you to address your customers' needs through automation or through artificial intelligence. These are a web chat, if you will. These are a program that you install on your site where if somebody has a question regarding your service or your products, they can actually chat with a robot. I know, right? Crazy. Talking to robots, right? It is true. It exists. And it is extremely affordable. I would, push you, if you already do have a website and you're dealing with customer orders, you're dealing with exchanges, returns, that you incorporate that aspect into your website. Beautiful thing is you can even do that on Facebook. Facebook also allows for you to integrate AI into your DMs. So this is another great way. I have a customer right now that does a lot of business into Mexico, a lot of e-commerce, and we're working on that right now because, he has one employee that's dedicated to just that. They are doing several transactions on a daily basis, electronic commerce, purchases that they're having to answer questions that could simply be answered by a predetermined set of questions. All you need to do is take a little time. I know, right? We don't have time. But that's where outsourcing or employing somebody to specifically designate themselves to that task becomes important. Again, remember, if they're not walking through your storefront, they're walking through your brick and mortar storefront, they're walking through your storefront online. Okay? If they're not walking to your store, remember, that's why it's important to have that website and why it's important to have that presence online, because they're looking for you. They're looking for your business. They're looking for your service. They're looking for your product. But you need to be able to service them online because they don't have time to drive down to your store and talk to you face to face. So that's where this policies and procedures and customer service becomes number one. Remember, customer service is not dead. And your customer is going to let you know whether you're good or bad through something called online reviews. Do not discount those 5 stars. They are of extreme importance. Ask the Laredo Chamber of Commerce, they're 5-star accreditation. Super important. Why? Because we don't want to be 3 stars. We don't want to be 2 stars and definitely don't want to be 1 star. Who buys 1-star products from Amazon? Who buys 5-star products from Amazon? Do not discount online reviews. And that goes back to addressing your customers' needs. If you're not addressing your customers' needs, you're not rolling out the red carpet, even for that one person that buys a $2 product, all they do is take this little thing out right here. They will look for your business and they will let you know how they feel. Every one of us in this room has this thing. And a customer has more power than ever to let other people know how your business is doing. Word of mouth promotion is not dead. It is word of mouth. Remember that.
Excellent. And my last question is actually one of Mr. Gibbs's questions, and it goes along with that, talking about word of mouth and how customers communicate online and what people tell other people about businesses. And so I wanted to end, this is going to be our last question because I do want the audience to ask some questions, so I hope you've jotted some stuff down. But the last question is, can you please explain the importance of blogs and how they work with social media marketing? Because blogs is how customers talk to other people about the services that they got. So give us a little bit of insight.
Right. Basically what a blog is blog is a place to write your stories, your information. Instead of just the data that you put on your website, a blog is your log of different things. What's really important is if you have a blog on your website that you're creating new content frequently as possible. I tell most of my clients, try to post on your blog at the very least once a month. Google and Bing, a lot of the search engines, when they look at your website, they're looking for new traffic. They're looking for something that's updated. If you never update your website, it hurts you more than it helps you. There's nothing worse than going to a website, looking at a business, and they haven't updated something since 2003. You're like, do they really care about their website? Well, blogs are no different. Blogs are continually looked at by Google, so new content's important. And the best thing about that content is sharing that content. So if you're spending the time to write a story about your business and putting on your blog, make sure you're sharing it on your social media. With WordPress, Joomla, whatever the system that you're using your website in is, they all have the ability to share your blogs, usually with one click on Facebook or Instagram or social media. So make sure that you're doing that, because what happens is, let's say I create an article on my website and I put it on my website. Well, only the people that know about my website are going to see that. That doesn't do me a lot of good if I don't have a lot of traffic on my website. But by sharing that blog post on my Facebook page, on my Twitter account, on my Instagram account, I've got all those other people that are seeing that article, seeing the information about my business, and what do? They click it to read more, redirects them to my website. Now I have a captive audience at my digital storefront. So that's why blogs are very, very important. And like I said before, make sure you're updating them frequently enough, because Google sees new content and it raises you in your search engine rankings. You know, when you go to Google and type in whatever the business is you're looking for, you want to be ranked as highly as possible. And by not updating your website, by not updating your blogs, that's going to hurt you significantly. So.
Great. Panel, any last comments to interject?
Just to add to what Matt is saying, that is extremely important when it comes to search engine optimization. Okay, how do we rank #1 on Google against our competition? Don't discount your competitors either. Your competitors are working just as hard as you are to beat your business. And if you're strategic enough, you can get ahead of them. No matter how long you've been in business, and no matter how long your competition has been in business. Your competition could have been in business for 20 plus years, and you might have started 2 months ago. But with search engine optimization, you can rank to the top ahead of your competition and be the first on page 1. Nobody wants to be on page 4. We all want to be #1 in our business, right? We all want to make money. We all want to be #1 at everything that we do. We didn't get into business to fail. So don't discount your Google presence, your online presence at all. Take charge of it. Google My Business, one website that I will give you guys right now. Simply go to Google My Business and start taking your business by the horns on Google. That is the #1 search engine in the world. That's where we go for all of our information. You know, what time can I go pick up pan dulce? You know, that's what you go search for. What is the number to Matt's store? What is the number to mile 1? We go to Google now for everything. So when your customer is going to look for your business, if you're not at the top of the search bar or the search rankings, chances are your competitor is there, and they might take that customer from you. So always stay in front, and best of all, it's free. It just takes time.
Final thoughts?
Just to add to what Matt and Cash are talking about, it's very important when you establish your business on social media to interact with your customers. As you're starting your business and people have questions, you need to respond to those questions, good or bad, positive or negative. You need to respond to those questions because the customer is intrigued. They're interested in your business. They want to know more about it. And so you need to respond to those particular questions. Again, like Cash was saying, you know, what's the number? They might have Googled it and they might have found your website, or they might have found your Facebook page, and then now they send you a message and they ask you a little bit about mile 1. And so you need to respond to that immediately or in a timely manner to make sure that the customer stays engaged with your website, with your platform, your social media platform, so that they're able to kind of dig in a little bit deeper and eventually walk in the front door and purchase something. So it's very important to stay engaged with your customer through your social media marketing and your website marketing.
Great. At this time, we do like to take some audience questions. If you have any questions for our panel, just raise your hand. We'll take the microphone over to you and, of course, ask away.
Thank you. You all have been great. I'm Carlos Salazar with Texas Mezzanine Fund in Dallas. Real quick question. In addition to providing lending, we also advise and consult with people who are looking at new businesses or even established businesses. what would you say would be a range, and I know every business is different, but a range of a budget that you would recommend for someone starting out or someone already in business to devote to social media, a website, and most importantly, I guess, the artificial intelligence. So give me kind of a range of what you would suggest, because we see a lot of pro forma budgets, and we'd like to know what we should say, because this is all great, to say, hey, you're not devoting enough to, you're shaving too much of advertising or marketing.
I guess I'll field that one. Shaving your marketing budget is the worst possible thing you can do. If you don't have business, how are you going to tell people about your business if you're not marketing? You can't just open up your doors and expect everybody to go, oh, look, there's a new business there, let's go there. It doesn't work that way. A lot of my clients, I tell them to take about 10 to 20% of their budget and dedicate that specifically to marketing. Obviously, it's really important which marketing media you use, because some are more affordable than others. Of that, say, 10 to 20%, most of my clients are spending about 80 to 90% of it digitally, and then supplementing it with some billboards, maybe some TV, radio. I think the most important thing is, because digital marketing is trackable. I guess I'm sure both of these guys will agree with me that you put a billboard up there and somebody sees it and comes to your business, you have no idea if they saw the billboard or found you some other way. If it's digital, you know that you could track it. So I would say take that 10 to 20% to answer your question, and use as much as possible in digital.
Just to add to what Matt said, absolutely. Traditional media, we don't want to discount it. We don't want to dismiss it as it's not valid anymore, because traditional media still does work. Newspaper, television, billboards, it does work with consistency. And with consistency on some of those mediums, it can get extremely pricey. If you have a limited budget, I would totally recommend 100% of your budget to social. That's going to be the quickest, easiest way for you to get connected with more people on a quicker, consistent basis in a more effective, budgeted manner. And man, it's so easy in terms of what your budget is. But I would also stress that depending on what type of business you have, that's also going to be important to recognize, and what medium, like Matt said, you want to be on, because every social media is different. They're not all created equal. While 1.7 billion people are on Facebook, it doesn't necessarily mean your customers and your demographic is on Facebook. So just keep that in mind. Do your research, just like you would any traditional media, before you jump in and start spending money, because you want a return on investment.
Are there any other questions from the audience? Anybody else would like to field a question? Great, we've got one.
So you spoke about customer reviews. How would you suggest a business handle a bad review?
So you're going to get bad reviews. Sorry. It's going to happen. We're going to get bad reviews. How do we combat that? You get your good customers to become your advocates. How many of you have asked your customer, one that had a great experience in your business, to leave you a positive review on Facebook, on Google? When is the last time that you asked somebody? Ask one of your friends, your family, who have experienced the type of service or product that you sell, and tell them to leave their feedback on your Google account, on your listing, on your Google listing, or on your Facebook listing. Tell them to give you their positive feedback. Why? Because I'd rather have 10 positive reviews have me at 5.0 to be prepared for when I drop the ball, whatever the case. Because remember, the customer is always right, even when they're wrong. to be prepared so that I'm not a one-star review because I only have one review and it's from that customer. So you want to be prepared. And that's, you know you're in business, you know you have a good business, you know you have a good product, you're trying to succeed and you're proud of your business and you love what you do. Take advantage of the people that love your business also. Use them as advocates. So that way, when you do get that one individual that was turned off, you're prepared so that you're not, again, that one star. What I will also stress is a very, very important thing. Remember, everybody is watching. Do not argue with your customer through reviews. Treat them as if they were right. Respond in a professional manner. I'm sorry, Mr. Customer. We're sorry we could not earn your business or we dropped the ball. My name is David, and I am the owner, manager, and I'm ready to help you out. Please feel free to email me here, call me at this number, or come by the store, and we'll gladly help you out. Why? Because everybody else is going to see that. Keep that in mind.
I'd like to add a little bit to that. He's exactly right on all of that. That's those getting your friends, getting your loyal customers to be your advocates. That's the most important thing. Something you can do to combat those negative reviews is go at them head on. Contact the person, like he said. Talk to them. Find out what was wrong. Fix the problem. And then after it's fixed, go back and say, hey, if you're satisfied with everything, would you mind posting another update? Don't tell them what to post. You want it to be authentic. You don't want to, I mean, Amazon is notorious for people trying to buy good ratings. You don't want to be that guy. I've had clients that have had really, really bad customers turn into lifelong advocates of their business. So just work with them. Customer service is the most important thing. Like I said, I was in the restaurant business for 15 years before. They taught us, go to every single table as a manager, talk to the table, make sure they're happy, and they'll come back. It's no different in this case.
I would just, final thoughts would say, just to keep that tone professional. When you're responding to your customer, to your client, you must keep it professional. Don't, just to add to what Cash was talking about, do not get into a bickering back and forth with your customer. The customer is always going to be right. And do have your advocates. Your advocates will be your most positive message, people that will put out the message out there when they're talking to someone and they say, well, you know what, mile one this, mile one that. Well, no, they're this and they're great and so forth. So keep that tone professional when you are dealing with your customers. I think that's very important. Customer service is that underlying key factor that's important when you're running your business through social media marketing.
Thank you. And I know we didn't get to everyone's questions, but I do want to remind you that this is not just an informational conference, it's also a networking conference. So in between breaks, if you didn't get a question in and you want to talk to a member of this panel or any panel, I encourage you to please do so. Walk up to them, get their card, ask them for some free marketing advice. This is your one chance to get it. So on behalf of the panel, I want to thank everyone that's here today. Our 3 members of our panel, they were fantastic. Please give them a round of applause. That ends this panel on social media.